Hello guys, welcome to Code with BK. So in this video we solve the problem to print a duplicate characters in a string. So in the first half I'm going to explain this, I'm going to show you how we are going to solve this problem, and in the second half we are going to look at the codes. So if you are someone who is just looking for codes, there are links to the codes in the description of this video, and to each link there is a text explanation as well. So if you are somebody who wants to read and understand the explanation, you can take a look at that.
Please do not forget to subscribe to this channel and click on the bell icon to receive all the latest updates.
So what do I mean by print duplicate characters in a string? For example, if I have a string, say cricketer. So I want to output characters that appear more than once in the string. So I start with C. Yes, it appears more than once. Okay. So I output C. Then I output check R. It appears more than once. I print R. I appears only once. I do not print it. I have already printed C. I do not print it again. I check for K. K appears only once. I check for E. I print E because E appears more than once. I check for T. T appears only once. Do not print it. Check for E. E is already printed. I don't want to print it again. Okay, then R is already printed. Okay. So all these characters appear more than once. In my problem, the order of output does not matter. So this is also right. This is also right. And this is also right. So I'm going to solve this problem using two methods. The first one is very brute force and the second one is optimized. So suppose I have this string cricketer. So what do? I iterate from left to right, pick up each character and check if that character appears at another index or not. For example, if I pick up C, okay, it occurs at index I say, and I check the remaining string to see if there is another index where C appears, okay. So C appears here at J and I is not equal to J, right? So I print C because it appears at two separate indices. Similarly for I, it appears at index I right now and it also appears at index J. Okay, I is not equal to J, I print R. So I say function print duplicate characters, it takes a string S. First thing you have to do is iterate from left to right. So I use for I in length of S. So basically I will consider all indices of this string. So in this case 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. You pick up character at ith index, you say C is character at ith index of S. Then you have to check if there is another index J where this C appears. So you say for J in range length of S. Okay, there's another for loop inside. So how do I check for duplicate character? I is not equal to J and Jth character is equal to ith character. So if I is not equal to J, okay, and S of J is equal to this character C, I print C. If condition for loop and for loop. Okay. So this and this function ends here. Okay. So this is going to print all these characters. Okay. All the duplicate characters. Okay. In this string S. Okay. Let's try run this. So I have the value I have C. So then I have J. Okay. And length of S in this case is 9. 3, 3, 6, 3, 9. And suppose this is my console. Okay. Output. Okay. I start with I in range len of S. So I takes indices 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Okay. So I start with 0. C is S of 0, which is basically C. You start with J. J is 0. I is not equal to J is false. You move on to the next value of J. J becomes 1. I is not equal to J is 2. S of J is basically R. Okay. This is not true. Okay, you move on to the next value of J. J is 2. S of J is I. Okay, this is not equal to true. You move on to the next value 3. Okay, S of J is C. Okay, I is not equal to J. I and J not equal. S of J is equal to C. S of J is equal to C. It is true, so you print C. Okay, your output is C. Alright, you print this value single character C and you get output as C. Then you move on to 4. Okay. So J4 has K, okay, and similarly J5 has E, T, E and R, okay. You finish the loop and you don't print anything again because this and this is not going to be true for any other value. Okay, you can check this out. You can write it on a pen and paper and check this out. We move on to the next iteration of I becomes 1. So this becomes R. Okay, S of 0 is C, right? Okay, so this condition is not true because this is true. I is not equal to J is 2. This is not equal. C and S of J is not equal. We move on to the next iteration of J. J is 1. 1 is not equal to 1 is false. You move on to the next iteration. Okay, this C is not equal to R. You move on to the next iteration. This is not equal to C. You move on to the next iteration. So for 5, 6, 7 and 8 we have values K, E, T, E, R. Okay, so for this last index 8, this R is going to be equal to R and I is not equal to J will be true. So you output R. Okay, alright, you move on to the next value of I, which is 2. This becomes I. Okay, and there is no case where these two condition is true. Okay, so nothing is printed. You move on to the next value of I, which is 3. Okay, now C is this single character C. Okay, and S of J remains the same. J starts with 0. Okay, I is not equal to J is true. C is equal to S of J is true. You print C again. Okay, C is being printed again. We don't want this C to be printed again. This is the issue with this solution, right? We need to fix that. So we're getting C again, and if you run this entire thing, so you get CRC, E, E and R. And we want all the duplicate characters printed exactly once. So how do we fix this? We take another string that keeps a track of all the characters that have been printed so far. So for this we start with a blank string that is printed so far. So printed so far starts with a blank string and it will store all the characters that have been printed to the output, right? So whenever we want to print another character, we make sure that it is not a part of this printed so far string. So the changes we need to make is we add one more condition. We say if printed so far dot contains C, and that is if I is not equal to J, S of J is equal to C, and this C that you are checking for duplicate is not in this printed so far, only then you print. Okay, and after you print you say printed so far is printed so far plus C, that is you add this character to the string printed so far. After making these two changes, right, you don't get these duplicate outputs. Okay, so your output is CRE. Okay, and your output is in the original order in which these characters appear. So C comes first, then comes R, then comes E. The runtime of this algorithm is going to be very slow because you are using one for loop and then you are using another for loop inside, and then you are using this contains. Okay, so usually we have something like index of in Java. All these are also linear time, so this is going to be very slow. This is going to be ON3, but this is just to explain how we solve this problem. So we look at another method that is much more optimized. So in this method we use arrays and sorting. Okay, and the idea of this solution is inspired by the problem that prints the duplicate elements in the list. What if I convert this into a character array? So I get something like C, this string, the characters of this string are placed into an array. So this problem now becomes printing duplicate elements in an array. And I've already posted a solution for this. So we use the very same idea from the solution to solve this problem. So the first thing we need to do is sort this. So if we sort this, our array becomes something like this. So we sort this array in ascending order. This brings all the equal values together. So even if you sort this in descending order, the idea still remains the same. You have to bring all the equal values together. So C comes together, E comes together, R comes together. Okay, all copies of I, K and T are together. So from this you can observe that values that occur more than once, okay, occupy more than one continuous index. So C occupies indices 0 and 1, E occupies indices 2 and 3, R occupies indices 6 and 7. So what we have to do is basically count the number of continuous indices that is occupied by any given value in this case, and if they occupy more than one continuous index, they appear more than once and we print it. So in this case C occupies 0 and 1, we print C output. E occupies more than once, we print E. Okay, I, K occupy one index, R occupies 6 and 7, we print R, T occupies one index, we don't print it. And you see the output CER is not the same as CRE in our previous case. CRE is the original order, CER is the sorted order. So if you want to print characters in sorted order, this is the idea. This is the method that we code, and this is very similar to the solution that we posted on printing duplicate elements in the list. Okay, let's write a pseudocode for that. So we need to convert this string into a character array. So we say CARR is to array S. Okay, and this is a very simple problem. I'm not going to go into details of this, how to convert a string into a character array. Then you sort this array, use any standard sort. If the length of S is very high, okay, go for some fast sort. If your length of S is very small, less than 10,000, okay, or less than 100 or less than 1,000, you can go with some bubble or insertion sort as well. After sorting, we use the pseudocode to print duplicate elements in this array. Okay, let's see how this works. So we have our SS, this cricketer, and our CARR is this, then it becomes sorted into this. Okay, so this is our CARR. What all values I have? I have I, len of CARR is 9. We have J, we have C, we have J. So here I starts at 0. Okay, I starts at 0. I is less than len of CARR, which is 9. Okay, this is 9. Okay, 0 is less than 9, so we can take I is less than 9, I less than CRR, C and J. 0 is less than 9 is true. C is CRR of I, C is single character C, J is I, J is 0. You come down here, 0 is less than 9, okay, true, and CAR of J is C. CAR of J is here right now, I is here right now, okay. So they are equal, okay. You do J plus 1, J becomes 1, okay. You check this condition again, true. 1 is less than 9 is true. CR of J is C, J comes here, CR of J is C, and your this C single character C true, J becomes 2, okay. J comes here. You check again, 2 is less than 9 true, CR of J is C, CR of J is E, C is C, not true, false. You come out, you say count is J minus I, 2 minus I 0, 2. Count is greater than 1, 2 is greater than 1 is true, you print C. So on your output, your first value is C. So you can say this basically counts how many times this character C appeared. So single character C appeared twice, it occupied 2 continuous indices. So count was 2 and we printed C. Then you finally set I to J, I becomes 2. And then you go back to check this while loop condition again. 2 is less than 9 is true. You set C is ACR of 2, which is E. Okay, so C is E. I is here now. You set J is equals to I, J is 2 now. 2 is less than 9 is 2. CR of J is C. CR of J is E, and C is E. It is true. You do J is equals to J plus 1, J becomes 3. 3 is less than 9 is 2, CR of J is C, CR of J is now here. So E is equal to C is true, so J becomes 4 now. Okay, you check this condition again, 4 is less than 9. CR of J is C, J moved here. Okay, this is I is not equal to E, so you break. Count is J minus I, count is J minus I, 4 minus 2, count is 2, count is greater than 1, print C. Count is greater than 1 true, print C, which is E. So basically this counted again the number of times E appears in this array. It appears more than once, it appears twice, so you print E. You set I to J, I becomes 4. I comes here. I is less than 9, 4 is less than 9 is true, C is CR of 4, C is I, J is I, J is 4. Okay, 4 is less than 9, CR of J is C. C of J is, J is here. Okay, C is equal to I true. You do J plus 1, J becomes 5. 5 is less than 9 is 2. C of J is C. J is here now. CAR of J is K. C is I. K is not equal to I, so you move out. So you say count is J minus I. J minus I is 5 minus 4, 3. Count is 1. Count is not greater than 1, you don't print anything. So basically you counted how many times this I appeared in this array. Okay, you set I to J, I becomes 5. Okay, go back to check this. 5 less than 9 is true. C is AR of 5. I comes here. Okay, now C is basically K. You say J is I, J is 5, J is less than 9, 5 less than 9 is 2. C of J is K and C is K, true. You move J forward. Okay, J becomes 6. Then you check 6 is less than 9 is true. C of J is now here. Okay, so this is R and we have C as K. R is not equal to K, false. You come out, you say count is J minus I, 6 minus 5, you have 1. So count is basically this count of K. Okay, appears only once, do not print it. Okay, then you set I to J, I becomes 6. Okay, you go back here, 6 is less than 9 is true. C is now this value at index 6, which is R. J is I, J becomes 6. J 6 is less than 9 is true. C of J is R and equal to C, which is R, which is true. You do J is equals to J plus 1. J becomes 7. 7 is less than 9 is true. C of J is now here. Okay, so C of J is R. Okay, and C is R, true. J becomes 8. 8 is less than 9 is true. C of J is now here at T. C of 8 is T and you have C as R, false. You come out, count is J minus I, 8 minus 6 is 2. If count is greater than, you print C, you print the current value of C, which is R. Then you set I to J, I becomes 8. Go back to check again, 8 is less than 9 is true. C of I, C is now T, J is now I. J is less than 9, 8 is less than 9. C of J is this T is equals to T, true. You do J is equals to J plus 1, J becomes 9. 9 is less than 9 is false, you come out. J minus I is count, 9 minus 8 is 1. Not greater than 1, you don't print it, you set I to 9. 9 is greater than 9 is false and you come out, so you get this as the output. This was exactly the same as printing duplicate elements in a list. So I hope this was helpful. So please do like my video and subscribe to my channel, and we move on to the codes now.
So this is the implementation for the brute force solution. So I have a method print duplicates in string that takes a string S and prints the duplicates. So I have two loops. One is the outer for loop, the inner for loop, and I check for indices j not equal to I where the two characters match. Okay, and the character that I'm about to print should not be in printed so far. Index of returns a valid index if C is found in this string printed so far. Index of return -1 if C is not found. So this basically is the check to make sure that C is not in the string printed so far. Okay, and when I print the character C, I add it to printed so far. So let me compile and run this. Java C string 1 Java. Okay, duplicate characters in computer science are. Let me change this string to something else. Okay, compile and run. Okay, moving on to our optimized implementation. So I've written a method print duplicates in string again that takes a string S and prints the duplicates. I'm using the inbuilt method in the string class toChar array that returns the character array for the string S, which I'm storing in CARR. Then I'm sorting this CARR by using inbuilt java.util.arrays class. And then I have my while loop that iterates this array. I get the character at ith index, j is equal to I, and j iterates over all the copies of C. Finally, we get the count as j minus I. If count is greater than 1, I print the value of C. So let me run this. So this is 2.java 2. Okay, again changing it to another sentence. Say this again, compile, run. Okay, so you see the difference is in the sorted orders. Here the output is in the original order, here the output is in the sorted order. So I hope this video was helpful. So please do like my video and subscribe to my channel, and please let me know in the comments if there is anything not clear to you in this video, or if there is a concept you want me to discuss, or if there is a question you want me to solve. Thank you.